People say they want that old school love, loyalty, communication, commitment. Somebody they could build a future with. But let me ask y'all something. Do people still date the old school way? Or have we gotten so used to avoiding the simple question, you know, what are we? Because somewhere along the way, people stop putting a title on what they are to each other. Let's be real. Instead, they spend months, sometimes years, acting like they're in a relationship without ever becoming in one. I'm gonna keep it real with you. So tonight, we're gonna talk about it. Situationships versus real relationships. What's the difference? Welcome back. It's World of Romance. I'm your host, O. And here, we're always gonna keep it real about dating. You feel me? So, when I've heard the word situationship, I automatically think it's not even a real relationship. To me, it's two people doing what a couple does without actually even becoming a couple, playing house. You feel me? There's no real direction, real commitment, or a conversation, about where this is going. But now here's where people get themselves in a little bit of trouble. Because one person starts thinking, we're just seeing where it goes, Nobody acts. Everybody just assumes. You feel me? Nobody's on the same page, but they're going to sure assume that they are, And that's the problem. Because people start creating false expectations, of the other person. You feel me? And that person never agreed. That's when the confusion happens. Then that confusion is always slowly gonna turn into disappointment. You feel me? Now let me ask you another question. If situationships leave people confused, you ready for this one? Then why do they stay? Is it out of comfort, convenience, or fear of being alone? Because let's be real, starting over with somebody, it takes time, right? You have to learn each other all over again. You have to build that trust all over again. Figure out if you're even compatible with that person. It's a lot. To some people, it could be a lot. So instead, people just stay where they're comfortable. Even deep down, they know, this isn't going anywhere. Yet, you start doing relationship shit. You feel me? Like, talking every day, going on dates, having sex, meeting friends, or even family. You know what I mean? Now, it starts to feel like a relationship without anybody ever saying it is. That's where false expectations get started. One person thinks we're basically together. They got the hard eyes, while the other person is thinking, yo, I never said that. You know what I mean? So somebody ends up getting hurt because nobody ever had the conversation. It's not even because somebody lied or cheated. It's all a simple conversation that needed to be had. Now, some people would say, hey, yo, it's just a title. You feel me? But is it really? Is it? Because if titles don't matter, then why do people avoid them? It's just a title. Why are you avoiding it for? You feel me? Think about it. When somebody proudly calls you my boyfriend, my girlfriend, my husband, my wife, there's no confusion. People know exactly where you stand. They know boundaries and commitment to each other, because without that title, everything, unfortunately, is going to be left open into interpretation. One person thinks, you're exclusive, hard eyes and everything. Other person thinks, we're just dating, And that's where people start wasting months, even years, waiting for a title that's never coming. And that's a hard truth to accept. Maybe they aren't avoiding a title because they're waiting for a right time. Maybe they're avoiding the title because they want to keep their options open. Let's be real. People think everybody's got to be on the same page when y'all dating, right? Like y'all got to only see each other. It's not even true, And if it don't work out, then it's, he's a player or she's for the streets, But let's keep it real, right? If somebody truly wants to be with you, they shouldn't make it a problem making it known. Should be no problem, none whatsoever. Because why fight for somebody who isn't yours? I know I wouldn't. To me, that's a waste of time. It's not, you not mine. All right. Then you not mine. We ain't make it known, right? From the jump. But here's the part I think people overlook. A situationship doesn't have to become a problem because there's no title. It becomes a problem when there's no end game. If y'all both on the same page, there's nothing to argue about, right? But when one person is building towards a relationship and the other one is just enjoying the benefits, that's where everything starts to fall apart. One is investing in the future while the other is living in the moment. They're not investing. Not at all. That's where people get hurt. You feel me? It's crazy because it's not because one cheated or one lied. It's because neither of them were honest from the beginning. You feel me? Nobody had that discussion from jump. Well, what are you looking for? Everybody bypasses that question too. Or what are we after X amount of months pass? Again, another question that people bypass. You feel me? So before you start investing time, energy, and loyalty, ask one simple question. What are we? You know? Because even no answer is still an answer. And then if they keep avoiding the conversation, remember this. Maybe they're already giving you that answer. That answer you've been avoiding yourself. You feel me? Now, if you're listening to this or watching it and you're in a situationship right now, I'm going to need y'all to drop it in the comment section. Nah, I'm joking. But am I? I want to see something. Drop it in the comments. But nah, I'm not here to tell you to leave, pack up and just go. Or even to stay. It's not my decision. Only you can make that decision. But I will say, stop falling in love with a possibility. Because possibilities, they're sure the hell not guaranteed. You feel me? Pay attention to what's actually going on. Because if somebody wants to be in a relationship with you, you shouldn't have to convince them. Guess where you stand. Or keep creating false expectations in your head. Because that's what they are, hoping one day they become a reality. At some point, you just got to ask yourself, am I building something? Or am I waiting for something that's never going to happen? Because the longer you keep avoiding that question, the more time you invest in someone who may never become the one. And that's something to think about. You feel me? Like I said, these jewels, gems, I'm always going to be dropping. You dig? Because maybe, just maybe, the real question was never situationship or relationship. Maybe it was always, what are we? Because situationships isn't what creates the problem. It's when people stop having honest conversations. The easier it becomes to create false expectations, waste time, and build a future with somebody who was never building one with you. If you want that old school love, it starts with old school conversation, honesty, communication, and knowing where you stand. Because real love shouldn't leave you confused. And neither should the person you're building it with. This is Raw Over Romance. I'm your host, O. And here, we're always going to keep it real about dating. And if you're feeling this, you already know what to do. You heard?
I've been keeping it raw over romance. Real conversation over slow dance. Ain't with the fake, I don't hold hands. If it ain't authentic, I don't do the scams. You gonna front, I don't play them games. I seen true love turn into flames. Just keeping it real, I don't need the fame. Raw over romance, it's not a game.